Using the podium, we politicians are used to standing when we speak. Thank you. So good morning to all of you. Citizens of the Asia-Pacific region are most likely to be affected by natural hazards than those in Africa, in Europe, or North America, says a report from the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. In many countries of the region, badly planned and managed urban and regional development, informal settlements on unsafe lands, vulnerable rural and urban livelihoods, and ecosystems decline are the underlying drivers that increase the risks of these hazards turning into disasters. And even as we confront these challenges, the impact of the Earth's warming temperature, as mentioned by Professor, already looms over us. We've been warned that if global temperatures increase by 4 degrees Celsius, coastal cities will be inundated and dry regions will become drier, while wet regions will be wetter. There will be extreme heat waves, water scarcity, stronger tropical cyclones, and loss of biodiversity. Furthermore, the IPCC, and we have 2 members of them in our panel, esteemed panel today, said that alleviating poverty and achieving food security will become increasingly difficult, and new poverty traps will arise as existing obstacles remain, and economic growth will slow down because of climate change. Faced now with these difficulties, it is a must that development policy should promote effective disaster risk reduction towards sustainable and resilient growth. We can't say climate change, stay here, disaster risk reduction, stay here, and development agenda in the middle. It should be mainstream in every aspect of nation building. Disaster risk reduction, climate change adaptation, and mitigation must be present in all institutions and agencies of government, not just of vulnerable nations like the Philippines, but of the whole world. So there must clearly be a paradigm shift, and it should be at the center of every development agenda of every nation, whether rich or developing, whether in Europe, in the US, or in vulnerable Asia. Here in the Philippines, our laws are unequivocal in mainstreaming disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation in development plans, programs, and budgets at the national and local levels. And presently, we are hearing our GAA as Vice Chair of the Appropriations Committee, of the Chairman of many major committees in the Senate. I make sure that there is a DRR component in each and every agency's budget. I don't only do that, but I monitor their implementation in the next year's budget. The Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction Management Act mandates a paradigm shift from reactive to proactive strategies that will strengthen our defense against disasters. The Philippine Climate Change Act in 2009, and lauded by no less than UN as one of the greatest laws in the world, but it remains a challenge because we really have to implement it effectively and efficiently. And just recently, we also enacted our People Survival Fund. Again, I believe the first in the world to mainstream climate change into government policy and to urge the private sector to set up counterpart funding for programs and activities that will introduce or strengthen climate change adaptation and mitigation in the respective establishment or communities. Even our budget policies reflect strengthened DRR and management efforts. Aside from increased allocation for DRR investments in the national budget, what was then called the Calamity Fund, intended for post-disaster activities, has been renamed the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Fund and can now be used for disaster preparedness and disaster mitigation programs. Laws, however, as I mentioned, are just part of the equation, and their implementation through good governance would spell the major difference. Solutions for climate and resource risks entail investing in water supply, in sanitation, in flood control, in transport, in roads, in social and health services, even education and energy infrastructure that build resilience to climate variability. A new study done by Environmental Business International estimates that in the next 7 years, the annual market for climate adaptation services will grow by 12 to 20% per year, becoming a $700 million annual market in the United States and $2 billion annually. In the case of Pakistan, for example, if I may, the JICA has calculated that if DRR investment is ensured, approximately 25% more economic growth is projected for the year 2042 compared to the case without DRR investment. And I believe that holds true for countries like the Philippines as well. We need, therefore, to promote a new approach in dealing with climate change and disaster risk that would not only protect our environment, but would also reap development benefits. Therefore, it makes clear sense if you mainstream DRR and CCA, you will have better, greater, more sustainable development. And to adapt to the new norm requires from us to change our perspective, to change our mindset, a change in the way we think and the way we do. In essence, my simple message is building resilience should be everybody's attitude, and building resilience should be everybody's business. With this kind of mindset, we can promote the scaling up of existing government programs to rectify the social economic structures that breed disaster risk and trap the poor in the vicious cycle of risk and poverty. The private sector will likewise be encouraged to put disaster resilience at the core of their business strategies and to promote green policies. The heightened engagement of the business sector in DRR is crucial in preventing substantial losses and economic development setbacks resulting from disasters of unprecedented scale. While heavy and excessive rainfall is part of the new norm and experienced right now in India, Pakistan, China, even in Europe and in the Philippines, we cannot remain passive to the growing risk that disrupts our social and economic activities. We must reduce the vulnerability and exposure of our people and our economy to the impact of natural hazards if we are to reduce poverty and to develop steadily as a nation. The road towards this goal may be tough, but with the attitude of resilience and a strong resolve, we will be able to weather the many challenges of our fast-changing environment. Thank you very much.